Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for Monday, June 16th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over my core picks. It's going to be 5 players in total, 1 pitcher, 4 hitters. It's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponent, as well as some recent history. After that, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Monday's slate overall. In the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report, and that will have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I will also be posting as many of the starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evening down in that comment section as well. So definitely be sure that you are checking up down there, especially as we do get closer to lock, so that you do have all the relevant information as possible. But without further ado, we'll get right into it with the core picks. We're going to start off at that pitcher position. We have Jake Irvin of the Washington Nationals. He's $8,000, averaging about 25 fantasy points per game on the season. It's been a little bit down as of late for him, but he goes against Colorado Rockies. Really attractive matchup, and he had one start versus them earlier this season where he did put up 50 points, and then he pitched against them once in 2024 where he also had 49 points. So really good performances for him, especially for a guy that's typically not a big fantasy point producer in that way, but do like what he's done so far in the season. He's got the 5 wins. ERA is at 4.21. Once again, averaging about 25 fantasy points per game at $8,000. Last couple starts haven't been the greatest for him, but a very favorable matchup on Monday. Obviously, feel free to mix and match at this pitcher position. There's not like any true high-end guys out there for Monday slate, so definitely would recommend mix and matching just in general because there are a wide variety of options that are out there that are going to be in play and could have some upside and could have some downside at the same time as well. Then we move down to second base with Jose Altuve. He's $3,000, averaging just under 9.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Oakland A's, and it's expected that JP Sears will get the start for him. There's a couple sites that do have Mitch Spence listed, but I'm going to assume that it's JP Sears for this one. If it is JP Sears, he is 9 for 22 with 2 home runs versus him in his career. He has at least 1 hit in 5 out of his last 6 games. 4 multi-hit games during that time span, 1 home run, 3 double-digit performances, and 4 games of at least 9 fantasy points or higher. So definitely do like the upside that Jose Altuve has just in general. Has a pretty safe floor as of late. He's at a .271 batting average, 10 home runs, 30 RBIs, once again averaging just under 9.5 fantasy points per game at $3,000. Then we move down to third base with Alec Boehm at $2,800, averaging just over 8.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Miami Marlins. Expected starting pitcher for them is going to be Sandy Alcantara. He's done pretty well versus Sandy Alcantara in his career, as he has 10 for 27 versus him, and he has at least 1 hit in 5 out of his last 6 games. 4 multi-hit games during that time span, 2 home runs, 3 double-digit performances, so definitely do like what he's done as of late. You can also play him at first base if you really want to. We'll see whether or not Bryce Harper is back for Monday's slate. I believe it's the first day that he's eligible to be back. I haven't really seen any news in regards to that. If he was back, then obviously Alec Boehm just slides over to third base, but he's playing the majority of his time at first base since Harper went down. And on the season, he's got a .283 average, 7 home runs, 31 RBIs, averaging just over 8.5 fantasy points per game at $2,800. And going back to Jose Altuve real quick, you could play him in an outfield spot if that's something you really want to do as well. But with that being said, we'll get down to the 2 outfielders that I do have in my core picks for today. We're going to start off at Fernando Tatis Jr., $3,600, averaging just under 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He's going against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and it's kind of up in the air in terms of who will be their starting pitcher. It could be Matt Sauer, it could be Ben Kasparis, probably mispronouncing both those names. But if it's Sauer, he's 1 for 2 versus him. If it's Kasparis, he's 0 for 2. Not really too gung-ho about the history either way, since this is a very small sample size, but Tatis has at least 1 hit in 5 out of his last 6 games, 3 multi-hit games during that time span. He doesn't have a home run though, but he does have 5 double-digit performances and has been playing really well as of late. So definitely do like that upside at a discounted price tag of $3,600. And if we look at what he's done on the season in totality, .277 average, 13 home runs, 31 RBIs, once again averaging right around 12 fantasy points per game at that $3,600 price tag. And then last but not least, we're going to go down to Randy Arozarena at $3,100, averaging about 10.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Boston Red Sox. Lucas Giolito is on the mound for them, and Randy Arozarena is 4 for 9 versus Giolito in his career. If we look at what he's done as of late, he has at least 1 hit in 5 out of his last 8 games, 4 multi-hit games during that time span, 1 home run, 5 double-digit performances, and 6 games of 9 fantasy points or higher. So he has had a really steady, solid, safe floor as of late. Has come with some upside at the same point in time as well. And if we look at what he's done so far in the season, .231 batting average, 8 home runs, 28 RBIs. Once again, averaging about 10.5 fantasy points per game at $3,100. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do have listed here, you have $14,500 remaining. just over $3,600 remaining per player. So I will mention that there's not like a ton of guys that are super attractive in terms of pay up options on this slate. Obviously, you can always pay up for guys like Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, depends on who your pitcher is at the same point in time as well. But feel free to mix and match at pitcher position. Feel free to mix and match in terms of your hitters. Got 4 hitters from 4 different teams. Obviously, Stacks will play a pretty big role once again. But these are 4 hitters that I did want to highlight for Monday's slate just in general. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Monday's slate overall. So we're going to start off with the Philadelphia Phillies. They're going against Sandy Alcantara, who's pitched really poorly so far this season. The most recent start was probably one of his best on the season, so maybe he's starting to come around to form. But the Phillies have hit him really well in the past, so I'm not really concerned either way. They hit him pretty hard earlier this season at the same time as well. Then we have the San Diego Padres, whether they are going against Matt Sauer or Ben Casparis. Looks pretty good either way, so there's a long list of history there either way. But feel free to get to some exposure of the San Diego Padres just in general. Then we have the Houston Astros, who have hit JP Sears very, very well in the past, so definitely do like their upside in that matchup. And Sears has kind of struggled as of late after having a pretty good start to the season. And then last but not least, we have the New York Yankees going against Jose Soriano. Not a long list of history there, but some of their guys have fared pretty well against him in that limited sample size at the same time as well. And then if you wanted to throw in a fifth team, you could also mention the Washington Nationals, as they are going against the Colorado Rockies and Carson Palmquist, who has an ERA of almost 8 on the season, making his 6th career start. But with that being said, that's what I do have in terms of my core picks, as well as top GPP teams to stack for Monday, June 16th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Once again, in the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report that will have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I will also be listing as many of the starting lineups as I can get to down in that comment section below. So definitely do make sure that you are checking up down there, especially as we do get closer to lock, so that you do have the most up-to-date and relevant information as possible. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now we have MLB DFS in terms of the core picks, typically Monday through Friday. Got my CFL DFS video coming out once a week, and that typically comes out on Wednesdays, so definitely on the lookout for that if that's something you're into as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you are a brand new user on any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you'll get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's a 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's a 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS for Monday, June 16th.